Hey, this is JR with Noble Gold Investments. It's about 2 o'clock here on Friday. The market is just closed. And I thought it'd be a good time to take a look at the precious metals market and the overall market in general, just because there's so much talk this week about how the metals pulled back and everyone's thinking like, is this a meltdown? Is this, the end of the run? And just want to take an overall high level look at it and just put it into context because that's really what it's all about, right? It's context on what's going on with the moves, the market. I mean, we just saw a huge run. And I think this screen right here, this watch list, really puts it into perspective, right? If we look at this is performance this week, this is performance this month, performance 3 months, performance year to date, 1 year, and performance over 5 years. So let's just look at gold real quick, right? Gold over the past 5 years is up 116%, right? And this year, in the 1 year period, it's up almost 52%. Year to date, almost 57%. 3 months, we saw a huge run, up 22%. And even in the past month, up 9, almost 9.2, almost, let's just say 9, a little over 9%. So yeah, if it pulls back a little bit, I mean, that's not the scariest thing. That's probably the healthiest thing for the market if you really think about it. I mean, stocks, commodities, they can't go up forever, right? As much as we want it to double, to triple in just a few weeks, it's never going to happen. And the longer that run goes, just the more dangerous it gets for the asset in general. So let's look at silver. Silver over the past 5 years up 96%. Year to date up 68%. I mean, that's an incredible run year to date. We're in the middle to end of October right now, so in 10 months up almost 70%. That's kind of wild when you think about it. And yeah, if you look at the 1 month, it gave up most of the 1 month gains, but in the overall picture, year to date, it's still up 70%. So when you put it into context, I mean, we can't get so focused on these short-term moves that we forget the overall picture of where we've come from. And then if we want to look at kind of the other metals, I know these aren't the most popular ones, but platinum and palladium, again, year to date, platinum and palladium, platinum's up 76%, palladium's up 55%. So yeah, those saw a pullback too this week. I think the metals overall saw a pullback this week, and it's okay. It's not the worst thing. It's building out a really solid structure. The further, and we'll look at it when we get to the charts, but it's good to start building and filling in some of those huge candles with big gaps in them. It's good to fill those in, and where buyers and sellers can kind of agree on price and find balance. But in context of the market, we can look at Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin year to date is up 18, almost 19%. Then it pulled back over the past couple months, and now was up 2.5% this week. So that's pretty good. Ethereum up a little over 1% this week, but year to date over 18, a little over 18%. And I mean, if you really want to look at this in the big picture, I mean, look at year to date on some of these stocks, right? Okay, so you have AMD. They reported earnings and a few deals recently. So it's up 100%. So yeah, if you were in AMD, that's great. But overall, you have ARM up 30, Meta 25. Metals are still outpacing most of the Magnificent Seven. I mean, look at Amazon. Amazon's only up year to date 1%. That's kind of crazy. Apple's up 5.5%. Yeah, so if you're in the metals, if you've participated in the metals, you really can't complain. I mean, in context of the overall market, you're outpacing it. Percentage-wise, you're beating everything else except for maybe one other stock. But still, you had to pick AMD and hold it. And I've always heard of AMD as referred to the automatic money destroying machine. So, every time someone's invested in that, it's just hasn't been a great outcome. But then let's look at the SPY. Here we go. The SPY is up year to date 15%. We'll give it round up, and 20% for the QQQs. So metals have been holding their own and been performing pretty well. And then if we want to look at, we always look at the dollar index in relation to the metals, and dollar index is down 10% this year. well, let's say 8.8%, down 9%. And only recently it's up only 0.5% for the week and almost 2% for the month. But just to put it into context, this is what we're looking at. This is what I'm looking at internally to just say, like, okay, big picture is a 10% pullback on silver and 5% pullback on gold the worst thing? I don't think it is. I think it's a pretty healthy move. And I think it's going to be able to set us up for a leg higher. So let's look at gold this week. We can zoom in here. We all know where we come from, kind of straight up since September. Like we said a few weeks ago, we saw when we reviewed this chart last time, we saw it gap over this 34 level, let's just call it that, and pretty much run. So yeah, this was Tuesday. A little damage done here, but of course, what do? You get a lot of people selling, and if you don't have buyers lined up right here, it's going to find buyers. Where did it find buyers? Found buyers right at 4,100. So I think that's pretty healthy, and that's pretty constructive for the future move. I mean, thank God we didn't come all the way back to, like, if we came back to 4,000, if we came back to this 3,850 level, I mean, look, is there a world where it comes back and closes this gap? I mean, maybe, but it's nice that it found buyers in this range right here. Didn't give up all of this run. It allowed buyers and sellers to catch up and create a new level of support right here. So we'll have to watch this moving forward next week, see if what happens here. Like I said, right now buyers and sellers are battling it out. We did see on Wednesday it kind of came down, touched this 4,000 level, 4,004. And then was bought back up. So buyers and sellers are fighting it out. Where it goes from here, we have to stay tuned. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. But if it keeps building out this way, could it start building up and then back into this filling in and building out some structure in here? I mean, and that's what it's doing. It's creating buyers and sellers here. Like, there was no one in here. Of course it's going to come back 5%. I mean, there's just, these were such strong moves. And I bet you if you get into these candles, you're just going to see areas where not a lot of transactions happened just because it was the excitement, the FOMO of this week. I mean, straight up day after day after day, held here, buyers get nervous, it's not going to go higher. Buyers turn into sellers, and they push it down. And where we find buyers, 4,100. So gold, not the worst chart. Yeah, no one wants to see it come back 5% in a day, but it found support, and I think that's really good for everyone involved in this move. Silver, kind of the same thing. Again, straight. Both of these charts look kind of the same, right? Like we had resistance, we gap over it, and just kind of took off. Again, I think this chart looks a little bit different in that we had this 4% down day, kind of found some balance here on Monday the 20th, and then Tuesday we sold off, as most of the metals did that day. Again, we're finding support here in this 48 level. So battling, buyers, sellers are looking to see who's going to take the baton and run with it. If the sellers do, could it come back? I mean, this looks like another area here. Could come back to 44, potentially. But the longer it just stays and goes sideways, the more constructive it is for this chart and silver overall. And silver is one of those metals. It doesn't take much for it to start to move. Lower priced, of course, so the percentage moves always appear bigger and scarier. 7% in a day. Context, it was a $3.70 move down, but it being a $50 asset, that's going to result in bigger percentage moves. So we can look at platinum real quick. Platinum had the big down day here Tuesday, but got bought back up, and it's kind of hanging out back where there's been a lot of just back and forth in this area. So 1,600 to, I don't know, 1,670 seems like a pretty big battle zone right here. But again, came down, got bought back up on Wednesday. All good stuff there with platinum. And for the palladium traders out there, look at that. We hit a new high. Well, not all-time high, but we hit a nice high at 1617, and then those buyers turn into sellers and just push it down last Friday. Monday, Tuesday here, not the biggest sell-off because it does have support right here at this 1400 level. So that's kind of what I'm watching. I'd watch that 1400 level, and if it breaks, then it could come back maybe to this 1280 level. Again, kind of have this couple days straight up here. So not a lot of transactions happen in this because it's just kind of rocketing up, closing on highs. So it doesn't really fill out and build out the structure that you want, kind of like here. Like it has a nice back and forth. Everyone's happy. All the sellers who wanted to sell in here were able to, and then once the buyers kind of clean up the sellers, we go higher. So we'll watch this here and see. For every transaction, there's a buyer and a seller. So who's going to clean up who? The seller is going to clean up all the buyers and take it lower, or the buyer is going to overtake the sellers and bring it back higher. That's the only two options here, right? And again, the longer we go sideways, the more likely that it will continue higher because we see that there's sellers and there's demand, kind of like what happened here. Spike up into what was this resistance area, go sideways, buyers clean it up and go higher. So that's kind of the big look at the metals market. Again, you never want to wake up and see down 5%, but at the same time, in the larger context of going all the way up, of course you're going to have some pullback. You need it. It's healthy. And a lot of people get scared up here, right? So a lot of people are going, oh my gosh, I was scared to buy. I didn't want to buy at 3,400. Now we're almost at 4,400. What happens? So of course people are buyers and people who have long-term holders of gold are going to turn into sellers. I've read a lot online about people liquidating part of their stacks. So it makes sense. Lines outside of jewelry stores, people trying to sell their gold, the excitement, everyone wants to get involved. So yeah, people are going to unload. And then we can look at the dollar index real quick. I know we saw earlier it was up, but again, just kind of treading water, moving sideways. Any rally, you expect a rally in the dollar when you have a sell-off in the metals. That's just it's going to happen. But again, going sideways. So we'll just keep monitoring that, keep looking at that. Dollar drops, metals most likely move up. And then this week we have an FOMC meeting, so we got to watch those rate talks because if Powell cuts rates, that usually rates come down, money gets released into the system, metals kind of take off. So that's the correlation there. And as the dollar dropped, we saw the dollar drop all year so far. And as that drops again, that frees up. That usually sparks a rally in metals. So it's not surprising that we saw this. But yeah, it was very, very exciting for the past month. And now we'll stay tuned and see where we go. There's always a chance we backtrack a little bit and test 4,000 again. But the more we test and find buyers, the stronger the market move is, right? Because there's actual people there that are willing to take the metal at that price. If we came all the way back to the breakout point here at like 3,500, that's when you start to think of what's going on. Was this a real rally? But right now, this looks like it was a sustainable move and one that could continue on higher after building out another base. Look how long this base took to build out. So if we can just build out, go sideways, I think everyone gets more comfortable with the new price of gold. It's like seeing a can of Coke go from $1 to $2. Is this really the move? Is this where the new price is? Oh, it is where the new price is? Okay, then we'll buy at $2. The fact that it didn't come all the way back is really good for all of us that are participating in the metals market, and same thing with silver. So yeah, we'll see what happens next week. A lot of exciting stuff. Like I said, I think FOMC is next week, so we'll see what happens with rates. Need to stay in tune with CPI numbers, all data, all kinds of economic data that's coming out on a continual basis that always affects the markets. So if you're not subscribed to our weekly precious metals report, please do so. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com, sign up for it. We do every Tuesday morning, we release an update, and that'll get you ready for the whole week, because that will tell you exactly what to expect, market moving events coming up, what Fed speakers are talking. Just get you prepared for the week ahead. And also it reviews the prior week of metals action. And yeah, if you want to talk the markets with a metals specialist, give us a call, 877-646-5347, 877-646-5347. Give us a call. Specialists always available to talk markets with you. They live and breathe this stuff. They love it just as much as you and I do. And they're around to help you kind of navigate what's going on, anticipate, and prepare for how to take your investments, protect them in the market, and shift some of maybe your wealth into a more defensive position like precious metals. So if you're not signed up, hit up noblegoldinvestments.com or give us a call.